Everyone, this is Tom, your host for the Cruise Channel. How's it going this evening? Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. Well, tonight I was going to have a discussion on understanding a constitutional republic, but since of the what happened today with Washington D.C. and stuff, I thought it'd be best to probably hold a live stream about that, about troops in D.C., no homeless in D.C., and maybe it's spread into other cities. So obviously, Trump sees there's a crime problem in some areas. But that's what we're going to discuss tonight. But a thing about YouTube. Hey Jeff, how you doing? Having a good day today? I tell you what, YouTube's really been hard. I'm getting messages from people. They're not allowed to comment. They're not allowed to hit the thumbs up button. I'm sure there's people that are trying to subscribe that aren't allowed to, that can't subscribe and stuff. I mean, this little guy sitting in his camper. I like doing some of my live streams in my camper because it's a little bit more comfortable here for me. I got a nice comfy seat, but anyway, YouTube's really slamming down. I appreciate all of my subscribers and everybody that comes to my channel and helps support the channel, because I mean, a little guy like me can give big social media platforms like YouTube the jitters. I tell you, it is beyond crazy. So anyway, so if you have a problem, you're just telling like it is. Yeah, well, why? Because that's the way I grew up. That nobody sat there and spared our feelings. We were told the truth, whether we want to hear or not. Our teachers definitely didn't lie to us. Our parents didn't lie to us, and we weren't allowed to lie. So, but yeah, that's a problem in this country. Everybody wants to sit there and make up their own truth, their own facts, facts that deal with the subject and stuff. Hey, Vivian, it's good to see you again. Hello. Well, let's get into the subject since I got some people here. Troops in Washington, D.C. Getting rid of the homeless in D.C. Now, I've been to D.C., okay? It was back in the late 80s, but I was still in D.C. where the homeless people were right across Pennsylvania, right across the street from the White House. Right across the street, right across Pennsylvania Avenue, in the park that they put all the state Christmas trees in and stuff, you had homeless people right there. That meant leaders from foreign countries, if they stayed in the White House, they could look out their window and see the homeless in this country. Okay? But Trump's going to get rid of the homeless. It'd be nice if we just had a good, strong economy and the politicians would stop spending money we don't have, so the homeless actually had a chance. And then, the ones that need medical and mental treatment would get that stuff. D.C. can do a lot to help with the homeless problem, but they're just going to ship them out of there, right? Sounds like Trump's almost trying to create his own green zone like they had in Iraq, doesn't it? The problem with homelessness, at least in the southern states, stems from drugs. Yeah. This is the thing. Our government needs to do more about making people feel positive about themselves, giving them more opportunity. Why didn't we have this problem when we were growing up? I mean, we still had homelessness and stuff like that, but not like it is now. A lot of people, they choose to be that way, okay? You can't sit there and stop people from their freedom of choice. To be honest, I think the days of insane asylums may return. They have to, or the United States itself is going to turn into one giant insane asylum, okay? Anyway, hey, if you're here, I appreciate you if you hit the thumbs up and subscribe and the bell notification. Help the channel grow. I don't sell stuff, don't ask for donations, so drugs is a huge problem, yeah. But this is the thing. Trump's just he's going to get rid of them, ship them out of there. Where's he going to ship them to? I mean, it's like he doesn't want to see what the real United States is like. When Hitler used to drive, his train used to go through the bombed out cities, and he's in the train, he would pull the curtains on the window so he wouldn't see the city and stuff. Is that what Trump's ashamed? You know, when he sees that, he actually sees what the United States is really like. Anyway, good luck on solving the homeless problem. But anyway, let's go into troops in D.C., okay? And remember, when the President of the United States has to bring troops into his capital city to make it, what he say, liberate it? Boy, that don't sound like somebody who deserves a Nobel Peace Prize to me. But anyway, that's a side note, okay? But the crime is so bad. Really? You mean the crime that us conservatives see on the list that don't exist that you won't do nothing with? I mean, is D.C. getting to a point where you don't even want the petty criminals in that area, the District of Columbia, in the District of Columbia anymore because you real-time criminals don't have time for them no more? You got to really make sure that's a sin city? Anyway, I don't know how, if you know, this could go a lot of ways, all right? And then he talks about taking it to other cities, you know, bragging about the L.A. Okay, this is the thing, okay? Mr. Trump, if you need help, if the federal government needs help regaining control of our country, we got people like me, lots of vets out there that can help you out. And we may just not stop till we get cleaned up D.C. right away. But, you know, you're calling up the troops. Well, maybe that means, you know, always get on the Second Amendment about a well-regulated militia. With all of us vets that they have created in the last 35 years that are capable, we are the well-regulated militia in this country. Okay? Maybe we need to call all of us up so we can liberate our country. Would you agree? Anyway, I'm just, why do we need his permission to be called up? We're all Americans. We see a job that needs to be done, we got to go ahead and do it. If our government's not going to do it, we got to do it, right? What other choice do we have? But, you know, like I say, he's calling up the National Guard to liberate D.C., to basically turn it into a Satan's pit, okay? Like I say, he's going to go after the criminals. Really, maybe you need to arrest yourself, Trump. Because if you're not on the list, you know who's on it, and you knew about it, and you covered for him. I mean, he talks about the criminals, the crime in D.C. is just beyond belief. You mean for us little people, the crime's out of control. But for your big, I'm so tired of this. I cannot believe this shit. He sits there and runs on releasing the list and shit, and then there's no list. Well, I know we don't have in this country no more because Netanyahu took it to Israel with them, and he's doing what Epstein did, blackmailing people with it. But they're going to stop crying. Like I said, it's time for us, the well-regulated militia, to call ourselves up and make sure we get rid of the crime in this country. The crime that's going on with D.C. and Fortune 500 company execs and stuff. Hollywood or Holly Weird. Anybody ever listen to what Corey Feldman said, what he dealt with when he was 14? Crazy time. Crazy time. And then Corey Haim killed himself because he was so screwed up over it. I'm sorry, I haven't been watching the chat. Hey, The Guardian, I haven't seen you for a while, buddy. Where you been? I tell you what, I was doing some ringers. YouTube, if this stream starts going down before I get 45 minutes in, I'll start another stream up. But YouTube, like I say, has been really, really hard on my channel. This small channel, but it's got a shit ton of views. This small channel's almost got 500,000 views already, everybody. That's why. You know, the one thing about the mega Republicans about this, you know, he's using crime. Boy, the mega Republicans are learning what the Democrats did. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Boy, all I see is that. Never let a good crisis go to waste. And then they're going to spread it out to other big cities and stuff that have a crime problem. I mean, does President Trump think he can just sit there and start taking over cities, whether they're blue or red? See, that's against, I mean, even liberal Democrats have rights in this country, not to be persecuted by the government. I mean, I can't believe that he is pushing Democrats and Republicans together. The division that they're trying to sow, he goes into these big cities. I'll have a lot of liberal Democrats on my channel saying, hey, how do we organize and end this shit? Hey, you know what? I don't think your color's a big deal anymore. How do we organize and end this shit? Hey, because you got a nicer car than me, I don't think that matters anymore. How do we organize and end this shit? Okay? I feel for anybody that's going to have to deal with this garbage. And then if the National Guard, I mean, what exactly are they going to do? If they start arresting people, then you're dealing with interference. Okay, does that mean if they federalize, I'm just saying you to this Democrats, okay? Remember, you Democrats opened up a can of worms that the FBI can go arrest January 6th protesters, insurrectionists, whatever you want to call it, and throw them in the Washington, D.C. gulag without a trial, without no rights, in horrible conditions. Are we going to start seeing that with Democrats now? And then let's not forget, because there's no list, like I say, Trump's just basically putting the Democrats in charge of the Senate and the Congress in a year and a half, and they're going to have the presidency in 3.5 years. So they're going to have this precedent that Trump set that they're going to be able to use against, well, you know, one thing about Democrats, it seems like they don't really take stuff out on the people that really support them. What did Trump say about his supporters that think there's a list? What did he call us again? Stupid, mindless. Oh, and Angel Trosh, hi. Mega forever. I tell you what. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when they come for you, bad boys, bad boys? What you going to do? You know, they're going to sit and determine who the bad boys are. And then they're going to come for you. And then you can see around these cities, you're going to see stuff like Alligator Alcatraz go up. This can just go beyond stupid, people. You cannot be... This can't happen. We got a crime problem in this country? Good. How about we have prosecuting attorneys that cops arrest them, prosecuting attorneys do their job, and then judges do their job. And then they go to jail, okay? Instead of letting them out. You know, these people are getting so emboldened because they're never getting in trouble. Just like the people on the list that don't exist. They're so emboldened, they're just getting worse because they're not getting in trouble. They don't have to worry about being in trouble, right? Anyway, I mean, let's say this spreads to the next city is New York, okay? Because he's going to use the election or something to get his reasoning. I mean, I don't want to think Trump is what he's seeming to be or whatever's pulling the strings, but ever since he said there was no Epstein list, he's doing a lot of weird shit. Weird stuff. Totally against. I mean, I realize mega Republicans, they want to support him. They don't want to admit that they may have got kicked in the gut for their vote, that maybe they're not getting everything that they thought they were getting when they voted. They're never going to come to admit that. Just like you're never going to have the liberal Democrats that are going to sit there and say anything bad about Joe Biden. even though the college loan forgiveness didn't go through, right? It's all a game they play. Narcissist just wants his way with everything and everyone throughout the United States and the world. He's not really in control of his own thoughts. He can always get what. I don't know what the hell's going on. Like this Putin thing. Who the hell is he to sit there and dictate to Putin like he's at war with Putin? I thought we weren't at war. I thought it was Ukraine, and he's going to act like he's talking for Ukraine. I mean, this shit's crazy. Anyway, hey, if you want to help support the channel, hit the thumbs up and the subscribe and the bell notification. Help this channel grow, because this has to get out. Like I say, does everybody on both sides see it's wings of the same bird? Okay? This isn't good. Okay? I do believe this is going to spread to other cities. See, what they're doing now is they're building the foundation of how they're going to do stuff. You know, Nazi Germany started out with one concentration camp, not 100. One, Dachau. That was the first one. I think March of 1933, 2 months after he came to office. But anyway, this is just them figuring out how they're going to do all the logistics, how they're going to sell it to the public. And the thing is, if you got mega Republicans that are just all for this shit and not calling them on it, I mean, if Joe Biden did this, I'd be bitching just like Donald Trump said it. Oh, that's right, Donald Trump did say it. Oh, just like, Biden said that, he threatened us with Hellfire missiles, F-15s, and nuclear weapons. And now Trump's just basically saying he's going to take over cities if he feels it's necessary, if the crime rate's too high. So you can know that any place that he comes and does that, your Second Amendment is going to be, you aren't going to have Second Amendment rights. I mean, they start federalizing these cities, turning them into basically civilian military bases, you might say, where he has total control and say. He's going to suspend your rights. Thank you, Democrats. I hope you all see what we had to put up with under Joe Biden. I hope we all feel the fear that I had to feel being on YouTube, putting out my content, worrying about the ATF or the FBI showing up at my door at 6 a.m. with a no-knock raid, deciding to shoot me out because I came running out of my house. The crime rates is horrendous right now. Something has to be done. Like I say, if the cops can't handle it, instead of suppressing the Second Amendment, since the Second Amendment is now for our own protection from our own citizens, okay, using more force against this. See, the thing is, if you have a criminal that does something, let's say in D.C., there's 2,000 people they're worried about, right? Okay, how many people in D.C. are suffering because of those 2,000 people? Or you go to New York, okay, and they have 10,000 there, and you have 8.5 million people that are suffering because of 10,000 people. That's not what this country was built on. The reason the situation is happening and people are pissed is because of what the government's doing. So you think the government created the problem. Now they're coming up with the solution, huh? They did all this shit to create the division amongst people, so we have people getting the shit kicked out of them, a lady getting knocked unconscious, come after a late dinner and stuff, people walking into Manhattan, shooting the place up, Fort Stewart, all that stuff going on. So they created the division to where even 18 kids that are 17 years old are stabbing each other or, causing death. The division. So now guess what? They get to come up with the solution to the problem. And the problem is, hey, we need to suspend your rights and bring in the military. And then build a camp by all these cities that we took over, so we have a place to put the people we got to watch. Oh my God, I'm telling you, this is what you get for voting for the lesser of two evils. See, if Kamala Harris would have been voted in, I'd already been in a concentration camp. Let's go, soldier. I'm a Marine, by the way, Guardian, but you know, I'm all for it. I'm ready for it. Like I say, why? I wish our leader would come up and get us all together. But like I say, start building your small community, your groups now. What you're working on? Because this is going to get crazy. If you're in the city, you guys in Chicago, I mean, you need to start saying, hey, to your neighbor, hey, guess what, neighbor? I realize we don't get along, we don't think alike, but you know what? The world's about to get crazy, and we may have troops in this city. How can we come together and make sure we're both on the same side when they're coming down our street? Now is time for communities to start communicating. Okay? We got conservatives that are telling Trump this is bullshit. You got Democrats that are telling Trump this is bullshit. This is bullshit. So it's affecting people on both sides. Hey, if you like this content, hit the thumbs up, please, and the subscribe and the bell notification. It helps the channel grow because we're all about to get into a world of hurt. Remember, it's coming to other cities. We need to get the word out, and I'm not afraid to say nothing on freaking YouTube. I don't care no more. If I got to be silent, then everything I'm saying is right. Okay? America will fall. It's biblical. I know it will. And I guess you could say that the people in charge are just fulfilling their biblical, what God has them doing. You know, I don't know, but this has gone beyond crazy. What have the presidents done? There's none of them. I can understand the LA thing. Okay, this is another thing. Hey, illegals, thanks for throwing bricks at all those cars and stuff. Thanks for attacking ICE. Now they got foundation, or they think they got the rights to sit there and do what they're going to do in D.C. Thanks for helping us out. You know, this is the thing. If you're not an American citizen, stay out of America's problems. Okay? You want to be here illegally and go to work? Don't protest, go to fucking work. Let Americans solve their own goddamn problems. We don't go into Mexico, or, well, we haven't been, but nobody goes into somebody else's house and think they're going to solve their problems for them. Go to work then. Anyway, but we got people, you know, he mentioned Chicago. You know, New York, you don't like that guy who's running for mayor. I don't like him either. He's a little lying piece of shit. Okay, he's a communist. His plans are ridiculous. You know, they never talk about putting people to work no more. They just talk about how the government give you more money to help you out. Or the government can take over. He wants to take over government-controlled grocery stores. You're going to know what empty shelves look like when that happens. Okay? You're going to know what empty shelves look like. Or your shelves, the ones that are full, are going to be full of stuff you don't want. But okay, that's beside the point. Trump wants to go in there. And it's not Trump saying. That's New York City. They want to elect somebody that's going to run their city into the ground further. That's their choice. Yeah, he shouldn't be a citizen. He lied. He was basically an enemy of the United States, our Constitution, our way of life. But see, that's the way New York's gone. But like I say, in our country, since we're not going to enforce the laws, and he was allowed to be naturalized under fraudulent conditions, and nobody's going to call him on it or do anything about it, well, I guess he can run for office. But then again, we probably had a president that wasn't an American anyway, American citizen anyway. What the hell's the deal with the Constitution anymore? As long as everybody feels a certain way, we can bypass that. Like, why should Trump have to follow the Constitution? Anyway, what was the Home Act or whatever, that no other president. Like I say, if people in the cities need to fix their problems, you start hiring politicians that want to fight crime, not invite crime into your city or illegals into your city, and I mean, you're losing manufacturing and everything. Maybe if we had more jobs in the city to do, people would have less time on their hands to get in trouble. Okay? Hey, how you doing? Ruben Reynolds. I like the name. RR. Double R. Anyway. But like I say, this is beyond crazy. And I'm sure I got some Democrats in the live stream right now thinking same thing me. Like I say, after the no list shit, I knew it was without a doubt. It was two wings of the same bird. But don't worry, they can see crime. Like they come to New York, they're going to make sure that you petty little criminals that, are poor guys and stuff, aren't going to be in the way to interfere with the rich guys' crime when they come in there. I mean, he's going to, like the criminals in D.C., he's going to fight crime in D.C., right? But the real criminals in D.C., the average criminal isn't even rich or powerful enough to even be in that group of beyond criminals. Okay. Anyway, I feel for you guys in the big cities. Now, he'll probably leave kind of Texas alone, and he'll leave Florida alone. But, is he going to go into Minneapolis? Is he going to go into Portland? Seattle? And then you get the big cities, right? And then you start going into the smaller cities like Louisville, Kentucky, Charleston, West Virginia. The thing is, to know what they're doing, because this is going to be a military type operation. And I don't mean just with the troops, because I would say if this is the way I think it's going, and I don't want to think this is a military takeover of our country. A slow military takeover of our country that they're going to do over the next 3 years. And then who knows, we may not have elections in this country again. You know why? Hell, Zelensky's still in power and he canceled the elections, right? But you're going to see, I'm going to look at it through a tactical and a strategic eye, where they're moving to. Of course, they're going to take the main cities because that's communication, transportation hubs. I mean, they're going to New York and Chicago and stuff. In Washington, does that mean that you're going to have National Guard at the airport, entries of the airport, which I would assume you probably would have? Hey, this is uncharted ground for the United States of America, everybody. I hope this is waking up a few more people. And listening to what Tom at the Hidden Truth saying, we're all on the sinking ship together. And while the people are listening to the band, I'm on top of the ship screaming my ass off. Hey, we need to do something here. We're about to be in real shit trouble. They're not even hiding them. Could I compare this to Hitler? Absolutely. Absolutely. All these emergencies. This is just another emergency. Declare an emergency. An emergency. On crime. Not the real crime. Wait a second. Boy, he can do, in his first term, he couldn't do this in D.C. to drain the swamp. But now he can do it in D.C. this term to get rid of the petty criminals. Why can't you do this to drain the swamp, Mr. Trump? Like I say, wings of the same bird, everybody. Coming to a city near you. I'm so glad I live where I live. Parts of the United States would be hard to occupy because we're so spread out. But what do they need for that? All they need is drones. Drones that are armed. So if you're in a zone you're not supposed to be, well, they just shoot you off the damn road. Remember when Trump said Mexico was going to pay for the wall? Yeah. Well, we can't have a wall now because we got to let certain workers in so they'll pick our tomatoes and stuff, since we don't got guys like me that are willing to do it. There's no job in this country that is below me, okay? I'll do any job. North Dakota here. Hey, appreciate it, Zigzag. North Dakota's one cold-ass state. I tell you what, I'm from Minnesota, right? It's not like I don't cold, but that one April I spent in North Dakota back in 2014 or 2013. Woo! That's when I figured out hell is a very cold place. Not to say North Dakota's hell, because North Dakota's a beautiful place. I was there by Lake Sacagawea and stuff, running cows. It was great. But that's when, feeling the pain of cold, that's when I figured out hell is a cold place. Like a cold heart. It's not going to be, heat. It's going to be as cold to match the people. Big shout out to the Dakotas. Good people out there. Yeah. Hey, how's it going, Sonny? Appreciate you being here. So YouTube's not letting you comment, huh? Can't imagine that. My channel is back in the warp speed again. Woo! It grows big time. Not as fast as yours, though. I tell you what, you got a fast-growing channel there. But, oh, I got J99 in here, too. Good to see you, J99. How's it going? What do you think of that National Guard deployment to D.C. and maybe to other cities that are crime-ridden? Just that we're not getting rid of the real criminals. I just don't understand how he's since they're using crime as an excuse to bring them in, and then he says there's no list, and we all know that the real criminals are absolutely fiendish, most despicable, evil people are not being punished. This is beyond crazy. But this is politics of today's world. But like I say, J99, the way he moves in on these cities, it's going to be to direct people. I mean, you take over New York, Chicago, St. Louis, Omaha. Omaha will be a big one. People say, well, it's just Omaha. It's stupid. There's a lot of classified secret shit in Omaha. Okay? I heard once it's a second White House if need to be. If that's where the government would set up again if DC got taken out of the picture. I don't know. I just know there's a lot of crazy shit there. But all these cities, like they say, they instigate people to get nuts, getting angry with each other. Crime. Why is crime so bad? Because dollar ain't worth shit. Anyway, and we just let people buy with it. I mean, in 2020, when Trump was in office last time, right? And they sat there, were doing their damage to DC, what they did to that church and stuff. But now is the time, like I say. Why is it so important that it's all coming now? I mean, they have kicked this thing into overdrive. And you say, well, 3 years for them to militarily conquer the United States, that's a long time. No, it's not. Okay? Especially if people aren't resisting and they're allowing it to happen, that's not a long time. If you can fight a war over 3 years and conquer a people, and then finally when they wake up one day, it's like, holy shit. Yep, it could get crazy. As a victim of pedals, death penalty, yeah. But like I say, he's not calling the National Guard in for that. No. He's calling the National Guard in for the little guys selling a bag of weed on the street. I mean, is it the District of Columbia like a death sentence even if you get caught looking at a gun wrong? Anyway, Left and right, same shit. Divide and conquer. No, it's since in 12 years. Yeah, divide and conquer. I mean, start organizing people. If you don't get along with your neighbor because they're a Democrat, start talking to them. If you're a Democrat and don't get along with your neighbor because they're a Republican, start talking to them. If they're a mega Republican that ain't gonna listen, I mean, on my channel now, I get just as much crap from mega Republicans, actually more now, than I do Democrats and trolls. From mega Republicans, I don't call them trolls. They're harder on me than the trolls are. But if you got, like I say, 25% for mega, 25% liberal Democrat, and the rest of us 50% in the middle have to come together. Start talking to your neighbor. Because when they start taking over your city, well, you ain't gonna have the opportunity to talk to your neighbor. You ain't gonna have the right to assemble. They're gonna be monitoring everything, people. DC is the first place. This is where they're gonna get, make their plan better. How to do the logistics. They're going to come together. And in the next city, they're going to critique themselves and become better at it and better at it. And eventually, by the time they get to the 5th or 6th city, hands down, no problem. Like I say, I think it's time since he can call up the National Guard and federalize them, I think it's time, hey, this Marine is calling up all vets to that are well-regulated militia in this country to sit there and liberate our country. I'm not afraid to say it. I'd rather say it now and get it out so when people don't have a right to speak, they can remember. I remember that crazy-ass Marine, what he used to say, holy shit, there's an M-Rebel coming down my street. I should have talked to my neighbor. I mean, if communities got to defend themselves against what's coming, it's not crime no more. Now it's the government. He's flat out saying, if he's doing a criminal act to fight crime, isn't that a crime? Especially if it's against the Constitution, isn't that a crime? I mean, he says it's an emergency. It was an emergency 5 years ago when you were president during the George Floyd riots, and you didn't do nothing. Nothing at all. I'm not a troll, I swear. I'm not talking. I'm talking about. See, I don't mind. This is the thing. I know people are unhappy, but I want to have a conversation. We are dealing with serious shit in this country now. You trolls don't have time for this. You trolls need to start having an intelligent conversation with people because they're going to be coming down the street for you too. And then when we get this all settled and we get back to the way social media didn't go back to being a troll. But until then, we got bigger problems to deal with. You want to troll somebody? Start trolling these frickin' politicians. Don't be trolling somebody that's trying to save you from a politician. But they all need to be loved too, right? I mean, the thing about a troll keeps you on your toes. But like I say, you guys got issues now too, all right? And if you want to continue your life the way you want it, Trump's pretty much said, hey, we may come to a city. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Jeepers Christ, playbook right out of the Democratic playbook. All the way. I am a fairly conservative guy, and I love my Democratic friends. Yeah, because you know what? Democrats. The Democratic Party has been hijacked, would you agree, by fringe groups? And obviously the Republican Party has been hijacked by a fringe group. Okay? I mean, I don't know why Trump, a perfect vice president for Trump would have been Kamala Harris. Anybody disagree with that? I think she would have been great. J.D. Vance probably they got him tied in a chair with a gag on him so he can't say anything. Because I can't figure out that a Marine who started his adult life like I did and those little yellow footprints at boot camp can possibly be thinking this is okay. Possibly. Okay? But, well, I mean, who else? It's just beyond stupid. It's beyond, I mean, I hate saying that, but boy, wasn't the election just, 10 months ago, 9 months ago? And he got in the office 7 months ago? And now we got National Guard and going to D.C. and maybe coming to in L.A. and other cities near you? It's a little bit of whiplash for me. I mean, I'm still trying to get over the no list shit. And now they're sitting there dealing with troops in the street to fight crime. Oh my God, I don't know how it makes me feel. I mean, it's just beyond stupid. It's beyond stupid. Made up bullshit. Hey, Guardian. Troops in the steel. Shit show indeed. Like they say, if you're in a big city, everybody needs to start getting hell along. You know, because if the crime, even you criminals now in Chicago and New York, hey, it's time for you to stop breaking crimes for a little bit. Or you're going to have to deal with, you're going to make it harder on your city. All these people you want to victimize, they ain't going to be there to victimize because the government's going to be doing all that. So I'm telling everybody, all you criminals in the big city, take a vacation for a while. Don't give the government a reason. Don't be killing anybody. You know, help the old lady across the street. Make it look like Leave It to Beaverland. That's your only fight against this. Because if you continue on hating each other and you know, being mean to each other, and the thing about being nice to each other, hey, maybe you'll get catchy. You'll be like, hey, instead of robbing that old lady, I think I'm going to help her across the street today. But I'm telling you, people in the big city, you best start getting along. Or old Mr. Trump's going to come in there with his Praetorian Guard. That's what he's going to have in D.C. Make his own little spot in Rome. Make his own little I can't think of it right now, but his own little green zone in D.C. to where he don't have to see the homeless. He don't have to see the problems of the country. All he's got to deal with serpents and shit and pieces of garbage of the devil's minions. Well, he slowly takes over the country. I don't know, folks. I hate saying this stuff. I mean, how guilty do I feel? Extremely guilty. I will own up to it. This is what happens when you have to vote for the lesser of two evils. Democrats can be very compassionate people, but they can go too far and become pathological. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with having compassion, people. It's a good trait to have. But you can be taken advantage of if you have too much compassion, which I have. You know, sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes saying no to somebody and leaving them in their waller helps them out. Not that you don't keep an eye on, so they don't end up 6 feet under. But making the person struggle may be hard, but in the long run, it makes them stronger. That's when you become a strong person. And we're about to have a bunch of strong people start being created in this country because the government is going to create some crazy-ass times. The military patrolling our streets is pretty fascist. Yeah, I know, like I say. How am I supposed to deny this? Germany started with one concentration camp. And then they ended up with thousands. some worse than others. It's just, if he can law, I don't know what the plan is, but I know it's not going to benefit the American citizen. Like I say, people in these zones that he federalizes, he's going to suspend their constitutional rights. You aren't going to have the right to assemble. Start talking to your neighbor, people. Like I say, drop all this bullshit. If you don't like what color he is, you can worry about that after you deal with the government. All these little problems and divisions we have in this country need to go away right now. Need to go away. If anybody can't see who the enemy is now, you know, because there's no list, so they're not going to be prosecuted. I mean, if the list, if that was, you know, if the law was starting to be enforced in this country, we wouldn't even have to be dealing with these people. They'd all be behind bars, and we could build a special prison to house all these people that are on the list that don't exist, instead of a camp being built next to all these cities, big cities, to deal with the people that are questionable. And obviously, I'm sticking my neck out again on YouTube. I stuck my neck out against the Democrats and what they were doing when they were in office. Now I'm sticking my neck out by hounding the hell out of the Republicans and Trump. And, you know, Trump's got a, you know, if he were to watch one of my videos and it'd get under his skin, where he just couldn't fucking stand it. Who is this little guy to sit there and tell me this shit? I ain't gonna listen to that. What do you think would happen to me? What do you think would happen to me? But I don't care no more. This is, I've studied history too much to know what, to see what's going to happen. Like I say, let's say within 6 months, we have 2 cities or maybe 3 cities occupied. You know, they'll give a little break through Christmas and Thanksgiving, maybe occupy 1 or 2 cities now. Like you say, when the plan starts coming together, when they get all the logistics and how they're going to do it, and they critique themselves and get it down to a science on how to sit there and take over a city. And then, like I say, I'm interested to see from a strategic standpoint what hubs they take over first. And then when they start moving into the bigger cities, I mean, the smaller cities like Louisville, Kentucky, the capital cities of states, which are usually smaller than the major city, start moving into there, you know, start moving into the state's seat of government. It's just a bad situation, people. But like I say, maybe these illegals shouldn't have been throwing bricks at ICE vehicles. You know, you give a tyrant a reason to take over, he's going to take over. Lawlessness in this country, even though they created it, they're going to use it. Okay? Like I say, all you people in the big city, start getting along. Fight your urge to do a crime. Fight your urge to shoot that person. Instead of fighting him, go up and shake his hand and say, you know what? We're going to have to settle this after the Patriots and vets get done dealing with Uncle Sam. We're going to have to be friends until then. Okay? Because I realize I got a bigger enemy coming this way. It's crazy time. I think there'll be more than 3 cities into how many sanctuaries? Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Sanctuary cities. That gives Trump another, Tom Holman and stuff. Yeah. Or sanctuary states like Minnesota is, right? But the American people are giving him the reason to be able to do this. Because we refuse to get along. Because we're going to listen to that politician that says your neighbor is your enemy and hates your neighbor. So we're just giving them ammunition. And I made a video about this. We are giving them the ability to take our rights from us. because they got us fighting amongst ourselves when we should be fighting against the government. Someone's home doesn't equal their, no, and I, no. I mean, look, we got a lot of trust fund kids, right? You know, the amount of money if the amount of money you had and the amount of college you had and the amount of influence you had determined your intelligence, well, then I would say that the people in charge of the world right now are the dumbest motherfuckers in the world. Anybody disagree with that? Dumbest sons of bitches in the world. Hands down. Okay. So anyway, but yeah, it's crazy times. I mean, what are you gonna? I got a prepping channel. I'm gonna do a video tomorrow on big cities. You need to prep. You need to prep against your own freaking government coming in and messing with your lives. This will definitely drop the crime in the cities because the bad guys in the cities are going to realize, hey, anyway, just start getting along in the big city. That'll help your cause out so much more. Anyway. And then I'm sure YouTube and stuff will start censoring anything that comes out of these cities that could be going bad. But anyway, you petty criminals, the government's not going to deal with you no more. They had it with you. You homeless people, you guys got to go. Don't quite know where yet, but you got to go. We're going to make them homeless in the middle of in a cornfield. Anyway, hey, if you liked the content I put out, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. Because as you can see now after today, we got a world of hurt coming down on all of us. And I'm just trying to get the word out. And whatever you can do to help the channel out so this Marine can go off on social media and sometimes act like Alex Jones and direct it at the true enemies of America. Okay? How am I supposed to be pissed off at a liberal now? How? I mean, I'm sorry, MAGA Donald Trump. You have far exceeded Biden's retarded shit. You know, we can say Biden was incompetent. That's why he looks so bad. What's your reason? Oh, I know. You're probably just sold out or on a list that don't exist. And, you know, you got... And remember, who's controlling Trump? Israel. How can a little country like that have so much pull? But anyway, you know, I guess Netanyahu wants to be king of the United States of America too. But this is what we're dealing with, people. Start coming together. So many of us are so alike. We all think the same. Politically, we align different because some people have more compassion than others. Some people are more motivated than others. You know, where they got their goal-focused, goal-orientated and stuff. But we're all in this shit show together. You know, and we can't be allowing the government, no matter what side you're on. I mean, I'm just curious. If you Democrats, if you had Biden doing this, would you be okay with it? I realize the extreme left would, but you and the 50% would, you know, the JFK Democrats, would you be okay with it? Because your side's doing it? And then, like I say, it just opens another can of worms because when the other side gets in power, which they will in 3.5 years, do you think the Republicans going to come out and vote after this shit? I mean, the Democrats basically did everything they possibly could by acting retarded to make sure Trump got into office. And now Trump's doing everything retarded as possible to make sure the Democrats take power. And then with all this new authority that he has and all these new precedents that is being set, What do you think Alligator Alcatraz is going to look like when the Democrats get in office? Okay, it doesn't matter to me what party's in office to me because I'm an enemy of both parties. Like I say, I got the mega Republicans hitting me harder than the trolls do. Okay? The liberal Democrats have basically laid off. The trolls have laid off, but the mega Republicans are going crazy on me. I mean, maybe you people need to read the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence. Calling in the troops. Like I say, everybody, this Marine is calling for the well-regulated militia. That would be all us vets in the United States that created millions of us well-regulated militia to help liberate the United States of America. Because he starts taking over cities, he took an oath. What other choice do we have? See, this is the thing. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. If I want to maintain my oath, I have to get on YouTube, say something, and when it's time to organize an act, I have to do that. Whether it's a Democrat or Republican doing it, because I took an oath to the Constitution and also to support all Americans, whether you agree with me or not. I really don't care. Because I don't agree with what the government's going to do to you either. Crazy times we live in, people. Thank you. The Constitution is the only law of the land. Yeah. But, you know, these politicians keep saying democracy. I will not vote again until I hear the candidate talk. Never say the word democracy, but says constitutional republic. I will not sit there and elect any or vote for anybody again who does not know what form of government we have. See, the democracies they're trying to push, this is why they can get away with this shit. A constitutional republic where the government has to obey the laws, where the Constitution handcuffs them, they can't do this shit. And like I say, Trump, if you're having such a problem, the more legal way to do it would be to sit there and call out the American citizen. To sit there and clean up their county or their town. Have jurisdiction in your county or your city to clean the shit up. But then again, if we did that, there's still the next step. They'd have to be prosecuted and thrown in jail. Well, that would never happen. But I guarantee if the National Guard starts arresting people, and remember, you Democrats threw January 6th protesters in the Washington, D.C. gulag without a trial, without rights, in unsanitary conditions, forced to take vaccines and stuff. Remember that precedent you set? Because D.C. was under Nancy Pelosi's basically control. Well, guess what? When they federalize these cities and put these camps on the outside of the cities that are federalized and they put people there that need to be watched, remember, you guys create the precedent. Hey, we're going to sit there and suspend their rights. They have now constitutional rights. They are an enemy of the country, and we are in an emergency situation. So their rights are suspended. Everybody going to see how it's going to go? So like I say, I'm sticking up for people on both sides. If you're too dumb to see it, maybe you'll see it when you got MRABs rolling down your street saying, there's a curfew. You're out past 10 o'clock, you get shot. No questions asked. Reminder, District of Columbia is not a state. I know that, but they wanted to make it a state, didn't they? The Democrats did so they could have extra representatives and extra Senate in Congress and stuff. That's why they wanted to make Puerto Rico a state too. I know it's not a state. But the precedent being set that he can federalize a piece of property or a city in the United States and bring troops in to control it in a way he wants it controlled. And then he'll just take over states. Like you say, if we all start getting along, or if we all start getting along, that would scare him. If we all start getting along and gave the same message to DC, where 70% of the population, I wish everybody had a social media channel. And I really urge everybody to get a social media channel, no matter what side, what your political beliefs are, and tell the government what you think of them. If they had 200 million videos within a week of everybody saying, you better not fucking do this, you son of a bitch, because we got 200 million people that are going to say we're going to put an end to this shit. Strength in numbers. Social media is one place where we can show them strength in numbers. What do they see on social media? Division, 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 division. They don't see guys like me on here saying, hey, we need to, both sides need to come together. Start talking to your neighbors. Cameras everywhere. Absolutely. I got a story about a camera. Get this. Back in 2005, I had a paper out at night where I deliver these big paper companies to the local towns. It took me 6 hours to do it, driving around the country and stuff, to these small towns for the paper boys, right? Well, this one town in Minnesota that, just a small town. It's a couple hundred people, right? It's where I grew up. But anyway, I'm listening to this show on AM radio, Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell and George Norrie. You may have heard it, right? Well, they had this was back in 2005. And they had this guy on there, and they were talking about cameras that the government has set up around the United States. And then he actually brings up Sanborn, Minnesota. This is no shit. I'm not lying about this at all. He brings up Sanborn, Minnesota, farming community, just a couple hundred people, and tells me exactly where the camera is, right? And the first thing that comes to my mind is, oh shit. Because it was on the road, back road, going from Sanborn to Lamberton, going past the golf course, going west out of town. And where they said this camera was, I'd always stop. Most of the time, that's where I stopped to piss. You know, I'd get out of my vehicle. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. There's no traffic out there, nothing. You know, secondary road. Take a piss at the same spot every time. And lo and behold, that fucking camera ain't up on that goddamn light post staring at me. Now, how did a guy in 2005 know where a camera was in a small town in Farmingville, Minnesota, with a couple hundred people? Number one, no military bases, right? Not the military, nothing of insignificance at all. Why the hell did they have that camera there? Who was paying for that camera? You know, that's the thing where you sit there and you say, I hear crazy people on the radio, right? And then you sit there and he's not crazy. So I hope they got a good, because after that, you know what I did when I took a piss? Right into the fucking camera. What a bunch of shit. I mean, I'm out in a secondary road in the middle of Nowheresville, Minnesota, between two podunk towns. And I'm being spied on by a fucking camera. That was 20 years ago, people. 20 years ago. Everything, a lot of this stuff that's going on with digital currency and stuff, Art Bell and Coast to Coast AM had a lot of these guests on back 20-some years ago that were talking about what was coming now. It's amazing how right they were. Jeepers Christ, Coast to Coast. But that show don't exist anymore either, I don't think. But then again, they weren't like Alex Jones, but they had people, guests on, that were considered fringe lunatics at the time. And they were right. Time is about the career. Oh, yeah, there should be no career politician. And this is my thing on DC too. They don't need all that money. You know, when I served my country, I lived in a barracks. When I wasn't on ship, sleeping on the ground, wherever, sleeping on a rock, I was in a barracks. So you're serving your country as a politician, build some bachelor officer quarters in DC, and that's where you stay. You don't need a staff of all these people. You need one secretary. Guess what? Then you got to bring your ass to work and do all this research. You got to read the bill before you vote on it. Maybe these bills would be hundreds and thousands of pages long if the congressman actually had to read it. Actually had to sit there, you know, like we have to do when you do something on your phone, have to press the agree button. You're agreeing to the you know, whatever the policies are. You could cut their money big time. Downsize our government, Department of State, Department of War, Department of Treasury, and the Attorney General, the way it should be. Boy, we can pay off our debt real fast, can't we? The thing is, we need to sit there and start prosecuting the really sick, evil bastards of this country. And then a lot of our problems will be solved because the evil people will be exposed and they'll be punished. And for a long time, people are going to realize how evil. I mean, frankly, I think the evil that's going on with the lists that don't exist is even more horrible than what went on in the Holocaust. Isn't that sad to say? This is the story of the century, and they won't do nothing about it. They will never be punished if status quo stays as it is. When us Americans take our country back, the guilty will be punished. No matter where they run to in the fucking world, they will be punished. Because we'll just drop a bunker buster bomb on your fucking bunkers. They will be held accountable for. Our children deserve that. Like I say, well, I've been out for an hour and 7 minutes. How many children all over the world have been thrown in the vans in the last hour to be sold into slavery, sacrifice, and all this other weird shit that don't go on? And now the government's going to start taking over cities because of crime. Sanctuary cities, like I say, we're giving them the reasons, people. Maybe we need to give the government a reason to sit there and start shaking in their fucking boots. We got a big domestic enemy in this country that's being controlled by a foreign enemy. Are you people going to keep dealing with this shit? Are we going to do something about it? Anyway, if you live in these big cities, like I say, start getting along. Figure out a way to get along. So when they try to show up with National Guard, say, no, we handled our own problem. We're getting along now. Get the fuck out of here. And then you need to get rid of your mayors that are causing all this in your city councilmen. Anyway, we need to start coming together, people. If this isn't enough to bring us together to see what's going to happen, God, I hope I'm wrong. God, I would love to be wrong about the way I'm thinking. But like I say, I studied history too much. I know how. I tell you what, if the liberal Democrats are right about Trump being a dictator, tyrant piece of shit that's going to stay in office for the rest of their life, that I didn't believe, well, though his actions are sure making me believe it. Not that I'm going to apologize till, because your candidate wasn't even voted on. She was chosen by the elites. History tends to repeat itself, yep, because human beings have never changed through millennial time. The core human being is still the same. Emotions are the same. Their ambitions are the same. Just technology's changed. And we're repeating it. Rome had 4 civil wars. 4. And every one was bloodier than the one before it. And if we're going to follow the path of Rome, that means we're probably due for another civil war. But it would be nice to see the Democrats and Republicans of all colors, of all nationalities, of all sexual orientations, fighting together on the same side. So we have the right, after it's over, to go back living our lives free like we want it. Because I'm telling you, they're going to come down on these cities and stuff. Anybody they disagree with is going to be in the crosshairs. Whether it's illegals, sexual preference, I don't know. Whatever they deem unholy or against their righteous country. But anyway, crazy time. If you like the content of this channel, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification, because YouTube, social media is getting harder and harder. And now even the ones that were against Trump are now covering for Trump. So, and I'm not afraid to say anything. The more support I get, the bigger audience I get, the more people that wake up. And like I say, if you don't like what I have to say, if I stir your emotions, like if you go and watch my content in my channel, my thoughts of the day, I got good entertaining stuff on there too with my horses and my dog. It's entertainment too. But my serious stuff, share it with people. Get them thinking, especially this one. Okay? Trump's pretty much said what he's going to do. And they're just going to sit there and get their plan all together and how they're going to take over cities with D.C. and the next city and the one after that. And then it's just going to be a nonstop, woo! Anyway, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I do believe Trump, the end game of this is Trump is trying to conquer the United States of America. But remember, Hitler had to conquer Germany before he could start conquering the world. So, please tell me we're in the Twilight Zone. Please fucking tell me we're in the Twilight Zone. And tomorrow is going to be normal. But tomorrow we're going to, I hate to say this because I said this today, but we're going to discuss understanding the constitutional republic. What a better time for that discussion, wouldn't you say? Because I don't think a lot of people realize how a constitutional republic protects them from living their own lives their own way, whether the majority agrees with it or not. Okay? Like I say, there's nothing in the Constitution about being gay or lesbian or bisexual or nothing like that. But in a democracy, that can be considered illegal. In a constitutional republic, it can't. So everybody needs to think about this. We all need to be on the same page, people. Start talking to your neighbor. All you people that want to do bad to other people in your city, tone down on it. Start helping the old lady across the street. Give me something to get on here and be shocked about instead of what the fucking government's trying to do to sit there and screw us over. Let me see some real people that are considered criminals doing good deeds every day. So we can expose the real criminals, people. Okay? That would help. Oh, I've been on for an hour and 14 minutes. I better get out of here. I appreciate everybody being here. And like I say, help share my content. Go to my channel and share my content, the shorts and stuff. And, we're all in the same boat together, everybody. And they are pushing it. Anyway, troops on the street to sit there and fight crime. Like I say, why didn't he do this for his first term? Call the troops in to drain the swamp. Anyway, just a question. Just a question. Or the George Floyd riots, why did they call him in there to protect the city, to stop crime? Just a question. It seems like the thing is that's in the back of my mind all the time is why the timing for all this now. The timing. pushing all this shit so hard. The timing. Anyway, like I say, this is a Marine saying it's time to call up all of us well-regulated militia, meaning all us vets, to liberate our country. Okay? Trump can call up the National Guard. I can call up the well-regulated militia. Fucking A right. Anyway, I'm not afraid of the fucking government. I will die on my feet, standing up for what's right. No matter if you disagree with me or not. You shouldn't have to live in tyranny. Okay? And maybe that's one thing. If you disagree with me, that's one thing we can agree on. And I'm willing to fight so you don't have to live in tyranny either. This is an attitude that needs to prevail in the United States. Drop our differences. See what we have in common. Look at our common enemy. And start organizing, especially in these cities that are crime-ridden, to protect yourself if need be. Anyway, your neighbor is your best friend in this situation, not your enemy. Anyway, that's all I have for tonight. I appreciate everybody being here. This is Tom with the Hidden Truths channel. I'm out of here, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow night. Talk to you later.